President Trump is facing criticism for how long it took him to respond to the violence in Charlottesville and for what he said when he finally did.
Yeah, what he didn't say. Much of the blowback is coming from his fellow Republicans, and ABC's David Wright is in Bedminster, New Jersey for us, where the president is this morning. David, good morning to you.
Good morning, Paula and Matt. One of the most important parts of the job for any president is, during times of crisis, to speak for the nation, giving voice to American values and projecting moral authority. And by that measure, many in the president's own party clearly felt that his response here missed the mark.
We're closely following the terrible events unfolding in Charlottesville, Virginia.
The president said the hate and division seen in Charlottesville have no place in America.
We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides. On many sides.
But Trump declined to call out the white nationalists who organized this event or to call the car incident domestic terrorism. This morning, that comment denouncing bigotry on many sides is under fire, even from some of the president's Republican colleagues. Senator Ted Cruz put out his own statement calling the attack a grotesque act of domestic terrorism, posting that the Nazis, the KKK, and white supremacists are repulsive and evil, and all of us have a moral obligation to speak out. Senator John McCain tweeted, "White supremacists aren't patriots, they're traitors. America must unite against hatred and bigotry." And Senator Orrin Hatch also commented on Twitter, "We should call evil by its name. My brother didn't give his life fighting Hitler for Nazi ideas to go unchallenged here at home."
No matter our color, creed, religion, or political party, we are all Americans first.
Also under scrutiny, the time it took the president to respond. As these horrific scenes were unfolding, the first response from the White House came not from the president, but the First Lady. She tweeted, "Our country encourages freedom of speech, but let's communicate without hate in our hearts. No good comes from violence. #Charlottesville." It took her husband 40 minutes more to send out his first tweet. Reporters sought to press the president.
Mr. President, do you want the support of these white nationalist groups?
He ignored them. Well, later, the White House sought to clarify that troubling phrase, "on many sides," saying that the president was condemning hatred, bigotry, and violence from all sources and all sides. Matt and Paula?
A little ambiguous still there, David. Right. Thank you for your reporting from Bedminster. We want to bring in our chief anchor, George Stephanopoulos, who will be hosting this week a little bit later this morning. Good morning to you, George. First and foremost, so Trump is under a lot of fire from his own party for not denouncing this for what it is, as domestic terror and white supremacists. And we saw those tweets from Ted Cruz saying the Nazis, KKK, and white supremacists are repulsive, or in Hatch calling this, said, "Let's call evil by its name." So how much pressure is he under right now to condemn these white nationalist hate groups?
This feels like a watershed moment for the Trump presidency, no question about it. Remember back in August 2005, Hurricane Katrina, George W. Bush, President Bush at that time, took a lot of fire for flying over Katrina, not appearing to be in touch with what was happening on the ground. I think that comment yesterday by the president, on many sides, failing to call out clearly the neo-Nazis, the white supremacists, the Ku Klux Klan members who instigated this violence, is a major, major misstep. And that's why you see almost universal condemnation, even as you point out, by Republican senators in his own party, even those who've been pretty supportive of the president, like Senator Cory Gardner of Colorado, like Ted Cruz, who, even though he was an opponent of the president last year, now says we have to call this out as grotesque domestic terrorism. And he's been quite supportive of the president since he got in office.
So, George, there was a pretty big press conference, that's how President Trump called it, scheduled for Monday. Do you think that this is one of the things that he's going to talk about after a week at Bedminster?
That's not what's planned. What's planned is a press conference where the president's going to announce an investigation into whether there should be an investigation of Chinese trade practices. Clearly, this is going to be the question at the top of minds of reporters if the president does indeed do a press conference on Monday. Remember, yesterday, he ignored two questions that came at the end of that statement where he was asked to call, does he accept the support of white supremacists, why he does not call this domestic terrorism. He didn't want to answer those questions yesterday. If he has a press conference on Monday, he'll get them again.
Yes, he certainly will. And speaking of questions, you have an exclusive interview this morning with Anthony Scaramucci, who spent 11 days as the White House comms director.
All 11 days.
All of 11 days. It's his first interview.
That was, and I think one of the most interesting things to hear from Mr. Scaramucci this morning is what he would have recommended in the wake of this Charlottesville violence as communications director, whether he would have recommended the president give the kind of statement he gave yesterday.
Certainly looking forward to that interview. And again, his first interview since those 11 days as White House comms director.
Thanks,
George, great having you. And don't miss George's exclusive interview, as we just mentioned, with Anthony Scaramucci, coming up a little bit later this morning on This Week, right here on ABC.
It's going to be fascinating.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.